guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be doing my May TBR, and I feel like I had a really successful month with April, having it being owls, and there is Asian readathon going on in the month of May. I'm not really going to be participating in all the challenges. I have pulled, I think I only have one Asian author book on my shelves that like I haven't read or anything. I do have like some collections of poetry and I think one other book that I've already read, but books that I have not read, so I will be featuring that this month just because I feel like I should be participating in some aspect and I really want to, and it's something that's been on my TBR for a while, so I feel like what better way. Also, the door's open behind me, so if you see Rocco coming in or out, that's why. Try and ignore it. But yeah, currently it is like the last week of April, I believe, so I wanted to film this and get it up for you guys. So I've kind of compiled all the books together. I believe there are 11. Again, my TBRs are always pretty ambitious, and I'm not saying in any way that I will finish all of these books within the month of May, but I'm definitely hoping to get started, make some progress, or finish them. So we'll see what happens at the end of the month. But I've got a lot of books here to get through, so we're just going to dive right in. I will have every book linked down below to Goodreads or Book Depository so you guys can see it and read a summary on it. I will try and give my best descriptions, but if I've already talked about the book or it is pretty popular, I will kind of skim over it, just so this video isn't super long. So I think that's all I needed to address, and let's get started. So the first book was kind of tacked on to my Owls Readathon. I was going to read Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi for one of the reading challenges, and I never got around to it. I wanted to complete all my challenges for my career, so this kind of got put on a back burner, but I definitely want to read it. From what the summary flap kind of is talking about, it gives me an Ember in the Ashes vibes, which I just did a book talk on. I will have that linked up here for you guys, but I loved that book and I will definitely be continuing on with the series. And the third book in this series is set to come out this year. I don't think it's been titled yet, but I saw somewhere that it was like on the most anticipated books of 2020. So hopefully I can read this and catch up to the series to be in time for the third book to release. The next two books were at the tail end of my April TBR. I talked about books that weren't kind of connected to my career, but I wanted to read them, and I never got around to it. So that is V.E. Schwab's A Gathering of Shadows. This is the second book in her A Darker Shade of Magic series. We are following the same amazing characters in this series, and I believe the main event is a challenge of sorts, a magical competition, so I'm definitely excited to see where this book goes. And similarly, we have Cassandra Clare's Clockwork Angel. This is the first book in the Infernal Devices series. In my April TBR, I mentioned how I had read the first book in the Mortal Instruments series, City of Bones, and I was not a fan. I really enjoyed it up until the last 100 pages or so, and it kind of took a nosedive for me. I was not expecting the way it was going to turn, and I wasn't really enjoying it. But a fellow booktuber, Books with Oni, has recommended that I continue on with the series, so hopefully if I finish Clockwork Angel this month, I can continue on in the Mortal Instruments series or the Infernal Devices. We will see where I fall, but I will have her channel linked down below. She is amazing and so friendly and so kind. Alright, so I feel like a theme for May's TBR is going to be Sarah J. Maas books, and I have a lot of her books that I am hoping to make some progress on in the month of May, and they are all pretty beefy books, so I do not anticipating finishing any of these this month, but definitely hoping to make some progress. The first of which being her new adult series called Crescent City. This is House of Earth and Blood. It's the first book in the series, and this came out, I believe, at the beginning of March, and in it we follow Bryce Quinlan, who is half fae, and after the murder of her friend, her and a fallen angel set out to find the real murderer. So it's kind of like two worlds colliding, and I'm anticipating a romance of some sort. Next, in my March wrap-up, I mentioned how I had finished A Court of Thorns and Roses and A Court of Mist and Fury as part of my reread of the series, and in the month of May I am hoping to get to A Court of Wings and Ruin. In my opinion, in the series, this book has the most action in it, but as far as plotline and storyline goes, definitely A Court of Mist and Fury is my favorite. This is again a pretty big book. I think this book made me cry. Yes, if you know, you know, but all the other books never really pulled that much emotion from me. This one did. And the final Sarah J Maas book we have to talk about is Kingdom of Ash. I'm finally getting around to this. I have been slowly but surely reading the Throne of Glass series for about the past year. It was right after I finished A Court of Thorns and Roses series that I picked up and started with Throne of Glass. I definitely prefer the Court of Thorns and Roses series to Throne of Glass, but we have finally made it. This is the conclusion to the series, and Sarah J Maas was not playing around. This book is 1,000 pages long, so hopefully I will be able to make some progress. But definitely in Empire of Storms we had the introduction of a lot of my favorite characters, and I am excited to see where we continue on with them in this final book. Alright, on to a few books that I don't think I have mentioned yet on my channel and that are a little bit older. The first being House of Salt and Sorrow. This is by Erin A. Craig, and I believe that this is a dark version of the Grimm Brothers' 12 Dancing Princesses. I have not yet read that story, but I do have a collection of all the Grimm Brothers works, so I think I might just flip to that section in my book of the Grimm Brothers and read this story, kind of so I know what to anticipate. But the inside flap seemed pretty interesting, and I really liked the cover. I think that was a big thing that drew me in, and a fault I have with buying books. If the cover is very appealing and the storyline has some aspect that kind of appeals me, the cover is definitely what it'll be like. Yeah, I need this right now. The next book is by one of my favorite authors, and that is Holly Black. This is the Modern Fairy Tales. This is a pretty thick book, but Holly Black's writing style is super easy for me to get through, and I really enjoy it. And I do not believe that this has anything to do with her Folk of the Air series. I'm not 100% positive, so if it does, please let me know down below. But we are following different characters, but the same type of species. So I think we're continuing on with the Fae, and I believe a human in a Fae world is the premise I'm getting from this. But again, I will have this book linked down below so that you guys can check it out too if you want to read it along with me, or if you want to learn a little bit more about it. And now for the book that I was saying I would read for my crappy attempt at participating in the Asian readathon is Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Nyan, and I believe she is Malaysian, if I'm correct, Malaysian American. I'm not too sure, and I think that this is an Asian-inspired fantasy, so I'm very excited about it, and the back definitely caught my eye. It says, "In my land, we're known as paper girls, easily torn, existing only for others to use and discard. But there's something they've all forgotten about paper. It can light the world on fire and make it burn." So definitely sounds interesting. I love the cover, and again, I believe the second or third book is coming out this year, so I've definitely got a few series. There's like dust flying all off on this book. There are definitely a few series that I want to get caught up for this year. Now, the next and final two books that I have for my May TBR are pretty recent releases, I feel like, as well. But the first is Bone Criers Moon by Catherine Purdy, and this sounded like something I had never read before and very interesting. So in this book we follow Bone Criers, and they are kind of a passageway to getting the dead into the underworld, and in order to complete your training and become a bone crier you have to kill your one true love. So we are following the female, I'm assuming is the bone crier if I've read correctly, and the boy is her love interest? I'm not too sure, but it did sound very interesting, and I'm very excited to get to reading this. And the final book for my May TBR is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. This is another author who is breaking into the adult world. This is her first adult book, and we are following Alex, who is kind of Yale's most unexpected freshman, and she gets involved with the secret societies and kind of is acting as a spy, so it all sounds very interesting. There's murder, it's dark. I feel like this kind of seems like the book where the morals would be very gray with our characters, but I ripped the sticker and it did not come off perfectly, but I love Leigh Bardugo. I loved her writing style in Six of Crows and I loved the story, so I'm definitely excited to see where Ninth House will take us. So those were all the books I had on my May TBR. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it wasn't too long. Again, I will have all of the books linked down below so that you guys can check them out as well. I also created an Instagram account. I mentioned it in one of my vlogs, but I'll have it linked at the top of the description as well, so if you guys want to keep up with me on a different form of social media, you can. And I think that's about all I had to say. So I hope you guys are having a good day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.